Burma is one of the worst violators of human rights in the world, including abuses of religious freedom.
Well, Burma is ruled by one of the world's worst regimes, a regime that is guilty of every possible human rights violation, from the widespread and systematic use of rape as a weapon of war, the destruction of thousands of villages, the use of forced labour, over 2,000 political prisoners in jail today facing severe torture, and all sorts of other abuses. So the situation is desperate from a human rights perspective and from a humanitarian perspective. There's famine and poverty. It's one of the poorest countries in the world that has been, run into the ground by this regime.
At Christian Solidarity Worldwide, we've been documenting and raising awareness about these human rights abuses for over 2 decades. Our aim is to see long-lasting change for the people of Burma, to see a democratic Burma in which the human rights of all people are upheld and where all can enjoy full freedom, including religious freedom. We often make fact-finding visits to Burma and its borders in order to understand the situation there firsthand, so that we can advocate effectively and be an authentic voice for the voiceless. Journey with us now on our most recent visit, where we were accompanied by some CSW supporters.
Well, no, I've never been in a refugee camp or an IDP camp of any sort before, so I'm quite apprehensive about that because I haven't ever been in that situation. So although I've read about it and seen footage, obviously that's quite different to actually speaking with people or seeing them in that situation. What I'm really hoping is that what we can get across to the people that we meet is that, we do really care about their situation and we want to do something about it.
The CSW team travelled to a camp for internally displaced people in Karen State in Burma, where over 1,000 IDPs are currently seeking shelter from Burmese military attacks on their villages. But they're not completely safe even here. The camp itself has been threatened with attack twice in the last 2 years alone. After arriving at the IDP camp, the team began to meet families who had only just come in the last couple of days. This family had to flee their village after being forced to work for the Burma army. Now they're trying to rebuild their lives. This archive footage shows some of the total disregard that Burma's military regime has for its own people.
This is Sabrise. He was killed along with 2 other villagers by the Burma army while working in their rice field at Sawada village. With the Burma army still close by, their family and friends returned to bury them.
Back in the IDP camp, the local school has over 120 students trying their best to learn as much as they can. They want to equip themselves for a much better future. Under the military's control, they were not even allowed to learn their own ethnic language. I can only imagine the tragedy these young people have already experienced.
In our country, there are now over 1 million internally displaced people. In hide sites like these, we face malaria, dysentery, tuberculosis, and many other diseases. When we return to our villages, we find our possessions destroyed and our homes burned to the ground.
Back in the camp, we continue on with our fact-finding. But the atmosphere is strangely oppressive. It's also hot and very, very silent. These people arrived only a couple of days earlier. It took them days to walk from their village. We heard their story and how they faced unbearable conditions under forced labour. They told us just how much they wanted to escape and how it felt to leave behind their loved ones.
One in 5 children dies before their 5th birthday. This is a direct consequence of the action of the military government of Burma. Desperately hungry, people sneak back to their villages to retrieve food from their hidden stores. Even if they do return to their villages to scavenge for what they can, they risk stepping on the mines laid by the Burmese army.
This man came to the camp after stepping on a landmine laid by the military outside his house. He travelled for 2 days through the jungle using crutches, along with his wife and 4 children. He said, "I really want all the people of Burma to have peace and freedom. If there is no peace and freedom, I cannot go home."
I saw a lot of people who are, living these very kind of basic lives, who've been kind of hounded from their homes and are doing their best to make some sense of community in this camp. They seem to be really resilient, and they seem to still be, even the children, they're so happy and friendly. You just think, how can they be that way? And they've been through this kind of difficult experience. Talking to some of these IDPs who'd walked for 2 days to get to the camp, and I just thought, wow, I can't even manage a couple of hours of heat and not having enough water. And it's just one example of how comfortable our lives are and how different theirs are. And I'd like to hope that they believed that we were there because we want to hear their story and actually do something with it, rather than just to walk around and look at them and say, "Oh, isn't that terrible?" I hope they thought, well, maybe these people have come all this way for a reason and they care about us.
Today is going to be a really interesting day, rather different to yesterday. We're specifically looking at meeting cyclone victims and looking at their situation, and with specific stuff to find out. I was really surprised and impressed by the sort of calm and almost unperturbed way in which people talked about their experiences.
Mae La camp on the Thai-Burma border holds over 40,000 refugees. We met with Pastor Robert to learn more about the situation and its challenges.
They lost everything. Some of the people we know is the real refugee, because in the some of the area, a lot of fighting and a lot of relocation, and also some of the village they are burned down to move the people. So there are people they cannot stay in their own village, though they come in here. But if they arrive in here, they didn't receive for the food, because many new arrivals coming, and also some of the people, like I tell you, for the Nike fever. But the people also, they don't want to stay in their own place. Some of them lost everything for the family, for the children, for the husband, for the wife. So they don't want to stay, also they come in here.